Welcome back, Shalligators. It's Oscar Monday. Is that a thing? I don't know. Where it's the day after the Oscars and we talk about it. Because I have to, because my job is to talk about celebrities, even though I, much like you, I would imagine, don't watch the Oscars anymore, and I don't care. And who the hell are all these people? I mean, they could have put the Vanderpump Rules people and the Oscar people together, and I'd still be like, it's the who's who of no one fucking cares. I feel like Oscars heyday, where it was like every single huge star showed up, is gone. And now I feel like the Oscars, and maybe they always were like this. I just never realized it because I was like a kid or something. But I feel like it's only people who are in these particular movies go. Like, you don't have Brad Pitt or Angelina Jolie or, I don't know, who's it? Henry Cavill. He's hot. I'd like to see him. You want to strip down, do a few push-ups? Anybody got any baby oil? This is an award show is what I'm saying. Like, Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, like, where the hell is anybody worth watching? It's all just very, I don't know. It's like going to a different high school and watching their like end of season varsity soccer awards. Like, who are all you guys? Am I supposed to know you? Anyway, there's some things that went down here that we're going to break down. It's going to be a bunch of little tidbits from Lady Gaga's Glow Down on stage, because she's grabbing all the headlines because she performed like in a French braid, like she just slithered out of an FLDS cult, right? Like she just escaped Warren Jeffs. Good for her. To, I'm sorry, whatever is going on with Justin Bieber, we need to talk about what's going on with Justin. Have we talked about it? We need to talk about what's going on with Justin, because something is, and we're going to loop it back into what's going on with Hailey and Selena, because there's bizarreness afoot. Plus, we're going to break down some of the other stuff we noticed at the Oscars. We're just going to rant. We're going to talk a little trash, okay? If they're going to make us sit through this god-awful broadcast, we're going to do a video on it. But before we get started, just want to remind you guys about Happy Endings. It's our new course on how to dominate the dating apps. In 5 days, I'm going to tell you how to find love on dating apps. From the profile to the swiping with strategy, not just blind swiping, to going out on a date, taking things offline, what to say, what not to say. I got you. So click the link down below in the bio. You're going to save 15%. And as soon as you sign up, you get the first video texted to you, and they text you over the course of 5 days. It's really, really easy. It's really fun. People are loving it. Also, if you join the Shallontourage, our little community online, you get access to all of that and more for free. You get the Happy Endings course. You get the sexy sessions, hookup tutorials, because you know you can't have one without the other, right? You got a man, now what are you going to do with him? You're going to get Evil Week, Shallentine's Day, plus 5 new videos from me a week, and access to all of our Telegram chats where we're just besties and we talk all the time. Okay, let us talk about the Oscars. Yeah, it's a who's who of nobody fucking cares. So here are the big things that people seem to be talking about. I had no idea the Oscars were coming up again so soon, because I feel like we as a nation just moved on from Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. By the way, do you guys want a video on the Chris Rock Netflix comedy special? Do you guys want something on that? Because I have a lot to say about Jada Pinkett Smith. And none of it is good. Sorry, Jada. Get out your fucking red table. We're about to talk. Okay. So I feel like, yeah, we're still all just like talking about the Will Smith slap thing, which was last year's Oscars. I don't know when I thought it was, but I didn't think it was a year ago, because it just, people never shut up about it. So here are some of the takeaways. First and foremost, let's go chronologically through the night. The red carpet. What in the hell is wrong with Hugh Grant? What is this? If you guys don't know what happened, Ashley Graham was doing red carpet, commentary and hosting and interviewing people in a rather unfortunate outfit. It was just a lot of look. And I said on my Instagram, by the way, go to my Instagram, ShallonXO. I'm shredding everybody's outfits and showing the ones that actually did well, but there's a lot more to shred than the good ones, as per usual. Why did everybody dress in white? They look like larvae. Everyone just looked like a Pinky Mouse you want to feed to a snake. You guys got to get some spray tans if you want to wear these colors. Ana de Armas, I'm talking to you. That was not a good color. So Ashley Graham shows up in this like swimsuit cover-up from a kiosk, and she's interviewing Hugh Grant, who also showed up. This is important to remember. He's there on purpose. Presumably he wasn't looking at the camera and like blinking Morse code for like help that he's being held hostage. This is some sort of, kidnapping, and they forced him to go on a red carpet. And he was such a twat. Like, he was such an asshole. I watched this interview and he was so snide and glib and dismissive and rolling his eyes. And listen, in his defense, she wasn't exactly asking the hard-hitting questions. But in her defense, that's not her job. It's, who are you excited to see tonight? What are you wearing? It's the little pitter-patter that you do with every celebrity coming down the red carpet. I've interviewed a ton of people on the red carpet. I was a journalist, a celebrity magazine journalist for 15, no, not quite that. It felt like 15 years, a long time. And I interviewed, pretty much everyone. And I know that this is not an easy gig. There really, really is an art to interviewing. Ashley Graham doesn't have it. She's not a journalist. She's a, whatever she is, but she's not a journalist. And there are people like Juliana Rancic and Joan Rivers, like those people, Ryan Seacrest. They're not a professional because it's easy. They're a professional because they make it look easy, right? To have a rapport with a celebrity, and you want to ease them in with, it's like, oh my gosh, welcome, you look fabulous, who are you wearing? It's just that easy small talk conversation starter that everybody has in any sort of scenario when you're speaking with someone, especially at work, right? But we'll put a pin in that. So she starts off with some just very easy questions, and I don't think she was going to segue into something hard-hitting like, how many women have you pressured into an abortion? She was probably just going to stay there. And he probably knew that because this isn't his first red carpet. And in fact, it's the world's longest red carpet. It has the most paparazzi, the most journalists, the most people looking for a quote. And I feel like a man as veteran in this industry as Hugh Grant probably knows that. Why the fuck did you go, dude? Why did you go if you didn't want to do this? You didn't have to do the carpet. Like, this is not a requirement for celebrities to walk the red carpet and answer questions. They don't have to. Unless they're promoting a movie. So they could have a deal with the studio. Like, let's say they did a movie with Fox or whatever. And Fox is like, oh no, you're going to go and you're going to talk about this new project, blah, blah, blah. You're going to weave it in. That is 100% part of their job. And that's 100% required. So remember when the Don't Worry Darling mess came out with like Florence versus Olivia, who by the way, both looked awful last night. Your titties aren't meant for these kind of bras. And I got small boobs. This is not a thing on small boobs. This is just not flattering for your body shape, girls. This is not for you. This is not, and I don't think it's your boobs. I think it's these bras, these weird like conical, None of y'all look good. Okay? No. And they both have very different body types, but still managed to pick the worst possible outfits for each one of them. Anyway. I remember when that whole mess came out and Florence was like skipping the red carpets. And I was like, dude, that's her job, is to go out there and promote this movie and get people in the theaters and put on a happy face. You're a fucking actress, for God's sakes. Act like you want to be here. And that's what always blows my mind with all these people. Like Hugh Grant, like, okay, you can't act like you want to be there. This feels like a good time to quickly segue into the sorest of sore loser, Angela Bassett. I don't know what she was nominated for. It was for Best Actress. I don't know what any of these movies are. I'm not going to look them up. I don't care. But she lost to Jamie Lee Curtis. And she sat there mean mugging her. The camera was only on her for fractions of like 2.2 seconds. And she couldn't even paste on a fake smile. And you wonder why you didn't win Best Actress. This is a poor advertisement for your acting skills, my darling. Very poor. Even if she's right, it's ungracious. And again, a veteran of the industry like Angela Bassett, who's a badass, I feel like should know this. But back to Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant. What a little cocksucker he was on this red carpet. He was just doing the most to do the least. And truly, when you see people in these situations who seem to be going out of their way to be assholes, you go back to that phrase you learned in like second grade, like, it takes 2 muscles to smile and 50 muscles to frown, right? It really is, so much of the time, the path of least resistance. Just be nice, dude. Just play ball. And it's, oh, well, I'm wearing Tom Ford custom, because she asked him, what are you wearing? He said, my suit. Oh, it's going to be like that. Okay. Then if I were her, I would have gone to the pressured to get an abortion question. I would have looked at him for a few beats. Okay. And then I would have gone for it. Be like, do you think your likely very small penis, because you are British, has something to do with the chronic outcomes of your relationships? I would just go, fine. You chose violence. and I can choose it too. So good on Ashley Graham that she didn't do that, because I would have. That's why I'm not a journalist anymore. And why I wasn't very good at it, because I did choose violence very frequently. But here's what I want to underscore, because I underscore this all the time when it comes to celebrities. You are at work. You're at work, Hugh Grant. And you know what? You didn't have to be there. I don't know why he was there. He's in, what is that? Knives Out, The Glass Onion, or isn't he? Or something? I don't know. And, he was like pissy about that when Ashley Graham, she's like, how does it feel to star in The Glass Onion? He's like, I didn't star in it. I was in it for 3 seconds. All right, she's trying to like stroke your ego a little bit, dude. Like, play ball. You are at work. And so the fact that he was so bitchy about having to be there makes me think he did have to be there. Like, maybe a studio or something was like, you need to go and promote XYZ, or he has a brand partnership, something. You would think like something. It's not like, where's Hugh Grant? Like, every teenage girl in the world is like, I can't wait for Hugh Grant to come out. And every gay guy's like waiting for the spank bank pictures of Hugh Grant. Nobody cares. He's a great actor, but like, he's past his prime. Like, nobody cares if he goes or not, unless some brand, some studio, some movie did. And if I'm like missing a piece of this puzzle, let me know. But again, whatever. Nothing makes me crazier than when celebrities forget that this is your job, and you might go about it with a little bit more magnanimity and a little less twattiness, because every wannabe actor, non-wannabe actors, wants to be there. Wouldn't you have loved to got invited to the Oscars? If someone called you, they're like, hello, Hugh Grant decided he's too big for his britches and he's not going. Would you? Megan Butterworth of Des Moines, Iowa, would you like to come to the Oscars? There's people who would take his place. And they would take his place in Hollywood in this pecking order, and it just, like, what's the problem, bro? What's the problem? And I don't mean to go around diminishing the problems of the rich and famous. Like, I don't want someone to diminish my problems, nor should someone diminish yours. They all matter to us. But there is a time and a place for wallowing, and there's a time and a place for a piss poor attitude. And guess the fuck where it isn't? Work. It's not at your job, because the woman cleaning offices doesn't have that luxury. The guy working the drive-thru doesn't have that luxury either. So I don't understand why Hugh Grant, who does have the luxury of literally everything else in life, he got to bang out Elizabeth Hurley for like 5 years. Have you seen her? Those boobs, unbelievable. She's not even a human. She's like a beautiful creature. Alien. You would think Hugh Grant would be like, you know what? I can put on a happy face tonight, because it's literally my job. It's my job. I feel this way about Cara Delevingne, who I said in my Instagram, she irks me. Like, I can't stand her. But she looked fantastic last night. I think she was one of the best dressed, if not the best dressed, because she looked like she was going to the Oscars. It was a big gown, but not like Billie Eilish big. And Billie has got to get away from this like oversized goth thing. Like, if you can black out the head of a celebrity on the red carpet and you don't know if it's Lizzo or Billie Eilish based on this comically oversized dress, one of y'all need to switch it up, because this is not good. And you can be gothy, you can be super gothy and express that in a way that's more interesting than this shtick, which I think she's done many, many times, and the stringy hair and like, girl, come on. But Cara looked great, because there was a time, I think it was like 2017 or something, that bitch was everywhere. Her face and her eyebrows. And by the way, my eyebrows have been doing some real weird stuff lately, where I will do them the same, and then one's like, no, and it decides to be darker on camera, and it's this one, and it's always this one. I don't know why. It's when my bangs are like off their bullshit that they're like, we have somebody else, and they pass the bullshit to the eyebrows. So think of our eyebrows as sisters and not twins, because I don't know what's going on. They don't look like this in real life. I guess that one is darker. I don't know. Anyway, back to Cara. So I had to learn a lot about her against my will for my job when I worked at Star. And I don't know if she's literally entitled, like she has a title, as I do, Lady Shallon Lester of Edelton. Like if she's a titled member of the British peerage, but she comes from a family of that ilk. Like, she comes from an extremely wealthy, long family, right? She's just a rich bitch. She's a trust fund kid, rich bitch. Never really had to work for anything. Lived the most charmed life, had every luxury and access to her. And I have never heard her say one thing about her life that isn't incredibly negative. Nothing about her family that's not negative, her life, her schedule. She is just the biggest wet blanket, the biggest downer. Unless, again, I'm missing some things. I don't know. But recently, she finally came clean, pun intended, about being like a lifelong drug addict. I mean, and this was like not a secret. Her parents would give interviews, be like, oh, she's a heroin addict. Yeah, and they're like, oh yeah, she's a heroin addict. I mean, okay. But she's like, I don't care about myself. I hate my life, blah, blah, blah. It's like, again, not to diminish what you're going through, but let me for a moment diminish it, because grow up. Because there's some people who have had maybe the exact same set of traumas or, uninterested parents or whatever, but they're actually not repping like Chanel closing Milan Fashion Week. They're living in a trailer park in Alabama. Those are the people who I feel a little bit more pity for, because they have no options. And if you think that those two scenarios are the same, they're not. Because money actually does buy happiness, because it buys a way out. It buys a way into rehab. It buys a way out of a bad neighborhood. Oh, it buys you a great therapist. It buys you a better echelon of friends. Instead of being around like other tweakers and stoners, you're around like venture capitalists and tech people and actors and athletes. Like, you can actually surround yourself with power. And there is something to the proximity of power that regulates ourselves and our lives. So, I don't know how deep my river runs for people like Cara. I'm sorry. But she looked great. She really did. Who else looked great? Kate Hudson, because this woman understands glamour. This woman understands a va-va-va-voom. I think Kendall Jenner honestly won the night. She looked incredible. And that Vanity Fair dress, I really don't think like photos did it justice. The Vanity Fair party, I mean. I don't think photos did it justice, because it's like very metallic. It's like all these little metal pieces. It must have been very heavy. I think that's what it's made of. It looks like it's made of that. But I bet up close it was just stunning. Just absolutely stunning. And the way she posed and her hair up like that, I'm like, oh, yes. Like, she looked like a movie star. And she's not. She can't cut a cucumber, but she's doing great. Kylie. She always shows up, and she's been doing this for a while, in these frumpy dresses. Like, that dress, her hands on her waist like this, you can see how bunching the dress is. Like, it doesn't even look like it fits. Did you buy this off the rack at Dillard's? What is this? And speaking of Dillard's, Jesus Christ, Rebel Wilson. Kylie and Rebel are two peas in a pod, because neither one of them look like they can stand being on a red carpet. And again, why are you? Why are you there? Why are you there? Rebel Wilson is one of those people, she smiles with all her teeth. And when I've mentioned her before, people have come for me in the comments like, don't bully her. She's afraid of crowds, or something like that. She's got stage fright. Well, she's in the wrong industry. Why doesn't she go work at Hertz Rent-A-Car at the airport? She'll do fine. And I'm sorry, carrying the rainbow purse, we get it. You're dating a woman or whatever. Anyone who plays gender politics is the most boring person in the room. Because if that person thinks that who they fuck is the most interesting thing about them, they're probably right, which is super, super sad. It's the least interesting thing about me. If I was making a list of interesting things about me, it'd be like 50th. I mean, who I have slept with, very interesting. But not the fact that I simply sleep with men and sometimes women. Nobody cares. It's not interesting. Like, is every straight person going to carry like a clutch with like someone like blowjobbing on it? Like, that would be insane. That would be insane. And it also looks insane when gay people do this. It does. I'm sorry, dude. It does. It's like, oh, okay. Oh, are you at home scissoring? Nobody cares. You're at the Oscars, for Christ's sakes. It's not even making a political statement. If you want to make some sort of statement about eating, why don't you do something to help the less fortunate? Or fine, if you got such a boner for gay people, put a QR code on there for a gay charity. No, oh, wait, helping them, do we all need to be reminded who you fuck at the end of the night? It's real weird, girl. Her dress also looks like it's from Dillard's, and thank you for one of you guys pointing that out and giving me that example to cite. Let's see what else we have going on. Oh, speaking of outfits, Lady Gaga. Okay, so I believe she tripped this photographer. I believe Lady Gaga tripped a photographer on the red carpet. She the headline, she ran back to help a photographer who fell on the red carpet. Gaga, what are you up to? But she's back. And she was back at the Oscars to sing Hold My Hand, Hold My, her song from Top Gun, Maverick, which, by the way, should have won Best Picture. I'll talk about Maverick in a second. I'll speak about Maverick in a second. But yeah, she came out and sang it, and she sang it in a braid. The universally most unflattering hairstyle any woman with long hair could possibly do. A French braid. I just want my head to look like it goes back, like I'm Alien, in that movie with Sigourney Weaver. Like my head just goes back as far as possible, and then it turns into a rat tail. That's what I want. That's the look I'm after. She did it. So brave. So brave. And she came out in Converse and ripped jeans. Because I love how she's like this volcano that builds pressure and then it has to erupt. And her eruption is always reminding people she's from the Lower East Side of Manhattan, or she lived there. She's from the East Village. And it's like the punky, cool place. It's like a shitty place. But I definitely had my time in the Lower East Side, when I was punky and shitty. And I think we were actually probably in the same circles. I'm sure I saw her at some point because it's a small place and there's only so many clubs that people go to. I remember her mentioning some. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember pianos and stuff like that. Oh God. Oh, so many drugs. But I feel like this was her going back to her roots. Do you want to know where they are? They're in the Lower East Side. She just can't help herself. But I thought it was cool. That, because it's unexpected, it's unexpected. Some people are ugh, just so pissed about it because dude, yeah, it's the Oscars. It's the Oscars. Go glam, have this big America phantasmagorical performance with jets and drummer boys and ISIS hostages trotted out. I don't even know. I feel like you really could have gone big with it, but she decided to go small, which is in and of itself a way of going big, I guess. So tell me what you thought about that. Can I talk about Maverick now? So the reason I didn't watch the Oscars, because why would I? And the reason I don't know any of these movies is because there's only one movie worth knowing, and that was Top Gun Maverick this last year. Guess how many times I saw it in the theater? The answer is 6. I saw it 6 times. And every single time I got something new out of it. Every single time it touched me in a different way. It was so good. It was so good. But a guy I was dating was like, it's horrible. He's a screenwriter, and he brought up some valid points. He did. He's like, Top Gun Maverick? First of all, let's start there. Is it a sequel or is it a remake? Because it can't be both. And the first one was Top Gun Maverick. So how is this Top Gun Maverick also? Objection sustained. And he's right. There were so many elements that were exactly the same as the first one, the font, the music, stuff like that, shot for shot things that were identical to the original Top Gun. But I thought that was so cool because the new generation that maybe never saw the first one, you still have those nostalgia points that my generation did seeing it, So I think that that's really cool. I thought it was a cool bridge for the generations. But he also was like, this should have been Top Gun Goose or Rooster. This should have been about him. Maverick should have had the role that John Hamm's character had, which I do agree with. Maverick shouldn't have saved the day. It should have been the younger kid saving the day. And yeah, I agree with that, I needed to see a lot more of Hangman naked. Get Hangman's dick out. What are we doing? He's in some rom-com with Sydney Sweeney that they're filming right now. Nice. Sydney Sweeney's not afraid to get them out. And hopefully she gets Glenn Powell naked too. I'm here for that. Love it. If you look right at him, he's not that hot, but just the whole package, you're like, works for me. Did I ever tell you that I had a little fling with a fighter pilot? And I was asking him about call signs. And he's like, here's what you need to know about a call sign. You don't give them to yourself. Your friends give them to you. They're nicknames. I was like, well, what's your call sign? Ass to mouth. That was his call sign. It's like, what? He's like, it could be worse. My like co-pilot, his wingman, is named AIDS. So fucking bad. And it's true. Because I watched the original one like constantly. And I was watching the credits, and they have like consultants, like actual fighter pilots consulting. Their call signs, it was like one guy, his name was like Ira Lefkowitz. And you know what his call sign was? Rabbi. And another dude was like clearly black. His call sign was like darky something. It was so bad. I'll start to cry. I'm going to cry again. It's so funny. Because you're like, that's what dudes like. They're just shitty to each other. They're just fucking shitty. So like, no one would be like, ooh, I'm Phoenix. Like, we're going to call her Phoenix. Like, no, we're not. We're going to call you Bukkake, sweetheart. Like, it would probably not come off the way Top Gun Maverick. What would your call sign be? Tell me in the comments. What would your call sign be? I'm sad Payback was taken because I would definitely do Payback. Although if other people were naming me, I don't know. It'd be like, I don't even know. Buffalo cheese queen. I don't even know. I don't know. I love buffalo cheese dip. Okay. So let's talk about Justin. Why are we talking about Justin Bieber? Oh, because he was at the Oscar parties. He slithered into the Vanity Fair Oscar party in a blanket, like a macrame blanket you buy on the side of the road. What's going on with Justin? I feel like people really kind of glossed over the fact that he canceled his tour. It is a huge deal to cancel a tour. It's a huge deal. It makes you uninsurable. Like, he canceled a tour a few years ago when he was like all tweaked out and strung out and shit. And so the insurer back then was like, we're not going to pay out for this. Like, you are on drugs, and that's not like a clause. Like, that's on you. It's not, you don't have cancer. You have a drug problem. Same with Kanye West canceling his St. Pablo tour. Like, he chose to go off his bipolar medications, and I'm sure that was a clause in the insurance because they do that. They're like, listen, if there's something that you need to be taking that's going to enable you to complete this tour, you need to do that. You can't just decide to go off of it and fuck the tour and fuck all of us and leave everybody holding the bag to the tunes of tens of millions of dollars. And when you do something like that once, as you can imagine, insurance companies are very, very reticent to insure you again or to back a tour again, And now Justin has done it twice. Why? Cowboy the fuck up, go to work, okay? If you don't like it, you can also go work at Hertz Rent-A-Car with Rebel Wilson. And you can smile at people like this. Hi. Okay? I'm sorry, I just don't have a lot of sympathy for people like that who, and again, it's like, are you starting a foundation? Are you helping other people? Like, what are you doing with this time off? All I can see Shawn Mendes doing is like drinking matcha, which I will admit is delicious, wearing very unflattering women's pants that look like something Michael Scott would wear that he fished out of a bin. Do you remember that episode? And boning Sabrina Carpenter. And what is Justin Bieber doing? Throwing birthday parties for himself and coming to parties in this like Men's Warehouse pantsuit and a blanket, looking really glassy-eyed and not great. Something is up. Something is up. Okay? This is not the behavior of a normal person. It's just not. And Hailey, I'm sorry, I love her, but she looked so bad last night. And that was a custom dress. They custom made that for her body. Like I said on my Instagram, my mother walked me down the aisle in something with more sex appeal in that dress. That is just like the dowdiest, unflattering, like, you're in your 20s. You have a great body. Like, take a risk. I remember last year she wore like some brown dress. She keeps wearing all brown. Like, girl, one day you're going to look back and be like, fuck. But what does this have to do? Because like I said, I was going to loop this into Selena and Hailey, like this Justin issue. Because we were talking to the fan group in the Shallon Entourage, to join it, about the whole Hailey Justin fiasco, endless feud thing with Selena. And one of you guys made a really good point. Where is Justin in all this? Like, why isn't he getting out in front of his wife if he thinks she's being maligned and whatever, and being like, enough. Selena, enough. Here's the real deal of what happened. Or I don't ever want to hear my wife's name in your mouth ever. Not a tweet about her. Like, at this point, wouldn't you just come out swinging? Or maybe he is just looking at these two and he's like, I don't care anymore. I don't care. I can't do this. I can't do this. But, you know, if we know that men are supposed to provide and protect and possess, the big three, right? What does that mean? Provide. Pretty obvious. They make money. They put a roof over your head. And I know. This is what trips us up as like modern women. It's like, how do I allow a man to demonstrate that he's capable of doing that without me feeling like I'm demonstrating being a loser who can't pay her own bills? Like, I don't have an answer. If you guys have an answer, please tell me in the comments, because this is something I really struggle with. I'm like, I really don't know how to like convey that and give space for a man to do that, because I think that's extremely important for a man to do. The way a woman, it's important for us to nurture. You know, and if there's no space in a man's life for me to nurture him, if I try to be sweet, he's like, oh, I don't need this. My ex-boyfriend Luke was like that. Every time I would try to be nice, I was like, ugh. And I dumped him. I'm like, I'm done with this. You can't let me be a woman here. I don't know what my role is. So I don't know how to let men do that and also have pride as an independent person. But I think maybe we just have to have what I call strategic failure in certain areas where it's like, listen, I pay my own bills, I put this is my house, I pay my nails, whatever. I will not figure out how that garbage disposal works. Okay, I'm not going to do it. It's making a clanking sound. I'm not putting my hand in there. You can come over and do it. There's a spider in my shower. I don't want it in there. Maybe it's stuff like that, but maybe that's not big enough. I don't know. So that's provide. Protect. Obvious, right? A man can either physically or emotionally or whatever get between you and something that's going to hurt you. And possess. Men need to feel like they've claimed their woman, right? Like, she belongs to me and everyone knows it. And of course that can go real bad into possessiveness territory. That's not what you want. You want someone who's claiming you. Who doesn't want to be claimed? How many arguments have we all had because a guy won't tag us or won't post us or not introduce us to his friends? That's because we are rightly detecting a lack of possession, which is part of the trifecta that men are supposed to hit. Not only for their own ego, but for us, you know? And if you have a man who doesn't want to hit one of these three things, either he's not a man or he's not into you. And that's an ugly truth. So we have those three things. How does this relate to Justin and Hailey? Kind of seems like Justin's failing at two of these things. You know what they are? Yeah, I bet you can guess. Provide. You canceled a tour to support the last album you've had, which, when was the Justice album? It was 2021. I mean, typically people go on tour to support an album. You know, Morgan Wallen's kicking off his tour. He just released an album. Sam Hunt is going on tour. He's not releasing an album. And we're like, not that I know of. I'm like, what do you do all day, Sam? Besides get drunk and cheat on your wife. So Justin is like not providing. Tours are very, very important for an artist. He doesn't seem to be protecting her from this Selena drama. I don't know. What's going on? What do you think? Because like I said, there is something happening with Justin. We don't know what it is. I can't wait to hear that it's Lyme disease. Because of course, it's never drugs. It's always ticks. The big drug that everyone likes to do, ticks and tall grass. It's disgusting. I don't know. What do you guys think? Tell me in the comments. Is there anything we missed? I guess just Jimmy Kimmel saying that everyone looks like they're on Ozempic. Maybe I should have gotten an invite after all.